So MW3 has just launched as an early access for the campaign if you've pre-ordered or pre-purchased the game. There's quite a lot of issues right now regarding frames and performance and how it's working. Shockingly so that even on my mega PC, that a lot of people would say, well, you can't compare that to the average Joe because it's so obscene, is struggling with frames in some really weird places as well, like cutscenes. It's just a video, it shouldn't struggle with frames. For some reason it does. MW games always have, so I kind of take that on the chin. But in the actual game, I've experienced loads of stutters and the frames keep dropping. To give you some background on my machine, just so you can kind of understand where we are in this video, I'm running an Intel i7 13700K. That's 16 cores, 24 logical processors. Obviously 8 of those are efficiency, the rest are performance. 32 gig of DDR5, 6000 megahertz memory. I'm running a 4080 FE with G-Sync enabled to my monitor. My monitor is an LG27. It's 2560 by 1440. Takes advantage of the V-Sync latency, or ultra low latency between chatter, basically between what the GPU is doing and the monitor. And also the other bit, which is very important, is I'm running a game on a PCI Express 4 M.2 2TB SSD, which is one of the Western Digital SN850X. I think it's like 7.5 gig read, 7 gig write SSD. Like, you load a game on it, like I load Call of Duty on it, it won't even read as 2% usage. It's so ridiculously quick. So I've done a lot of things looking to see where it's being bottlenecked. In theory, my system doesn't have a bottleneck as such. I'm trying to find one. Even when I'm recording, I'm trying to find one. I don't maximize my CPU, I don't maximize my memory. My GPU is probably the only thing that gets maximized. I've actually managed to have it hit 100% load, which is pretty crazy. And I've not been able to find it. And it's definitely not the M.2 SSD either. So that said, to give you some other facts about how I run my setup, I do run, obviously, as I've mentioned, the low latency mode, so I've got that set to ultra. I do lock my frames on all of my games. My monitor is only 144 FPS, so I lock all of my games at 144 or 150 FPS. There is a lot of reasons, benefits behind that. A lot of people have this misconception that you need as many frames as you can possibly cram into your monitor. You're not actually physically in the world going to be able to see it with your naked eye. It's good for benchmarking, but in real terms of telling your graphics card to be efficient, you want to restrict the amount of frames. You want to put it to whatever your monitor actually supports. That way you're creating more headroom for other features of your graphics card, albeit what it needs to actually do, which is render out all the textures and detail. So you'll see in this game options that I'm running the game in a window. Normally MW2, Warzone, DMZ, I've ran in full screen borderless. I found previously that running the games in exclusive full screen just causes so many issues, be it with stutters in video, weird graphical glitches with shadows and lighting and stuff running in the game at such a high level. So putting it into a full screen borderless seemed to cure some of those issues. And in MW3 with this early access, I found just putting the game into an actual window itself and just resizing that window on your desktop has cured a lot of issues, weirdly enough. But then it does present another issue that the game then thinks its refresh rate is locked at 59 FPS, and I'll explain that in a minute. Also, the resolution is 1920 by 1440, not the full res. Again, that's just because the window itself has been resized. It does have a level of scaling in the game, so it's okay for that. V-Sync I've got turned off. That's because I'm using the G-Sync between graphics card and monitor. So you can turn it off in games, it's not a problem. You can find those options in your NVIDIA controller, and that's also applies to windowed as well, because the graphics card will V-Sync be it windowed games and full screen if you manage it via the controller itself. If you go into the custom frame rate, you can actually see I've set the game to in-game custom is 145, menu is 100, and the rest of the options are pretty much default. And then when we go into the actual game options themselves of quality, you see I've got a custom. I've had to enable NVIDIA DLSS in MW2 and some of the previous other versions. I've ran it very much true to how the game is shipped, but for some reason MW3, with all the issues that I'm getting with the variable frames, I've turned DLSS on and I've set its performance, but I've reduced the sharpness, and I found that is probably one of the best options. It's made, I'm still getting the stupid spikes where it will go from like 140 frames and just rock it down to like 20 randomly. But this has kind of smoothed it out, where that was happening like every 2 or 3 kind of seconds, or every time you move the mouse very quickly. Now it's kind of a bit more smooth. It's more of just when it's loading in new visuals, like a new clipping distance or something. It's very strange, very, very strange. I can't work it out. So through the rest of these options, you see that texture resolution is high. Most of this is high. I've had to turn some things down, like the texture filter anisotropic I've turned to normal. That was a weird one. I've also had to turn particles down as well, I believe. Occlusion I've got set to both. Screen reflections I've got on normal. Terrain memory I had to put down to medium. That was definitely another one that I found was causing some issues since this update. And the view is all pretty much basic. Motion blur I always have off. Weapon motion blur I always have off. Film grain I reduced down to 0.20. And then inverted flashbangs is obviously off as well. So it's, yeah, strange. And unfortunately at the moment I can't do any more kind of testing with the game because I'm currently suffering from this issue that's going around where I'm locked. Basically, a small update took place. It was like a playlist update, and it's caused the game to not actually fetch my account details. It's saying that I need to purchase the game, and it's reverted me down to level 1. And apparently this is quite common. I've been kind of searching, and everyone at the moment trying to play the early access is suffering from the same thing across consoles and PC, which is good. It's really makes it worth spending the money to play the game. I thought, you know what, I will, and now I'm faced with this, not even half an hour into playing the game. Right, that's enough of me rambling on. I hope this video has been some help to you. If it has or hasn't, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, if it has, give the video a like. And thanks for watching as always, guys. Drayke out.